plan on doing. We have a 6-game slate tonight, Paulie. 6-game slate. Pretty cool. We had an 8-gamer today. Should have gone a lot better than it did, but we have a 6-gamer. It's refreshing, man. We've had so many of these monster, like huge slates. And granted, we have been successful all season with the larger slates, but it's still nice to have like some of these shorter, smaller ones and just like a little more breathing room. You can actually research everything for once instead of just getting through the juicy parts and then kind of speed rushing through the rest. Like we have time to cover everything. Usually the chalk is a little bit more easier to identify on smaller slates. So I am actually excited to break this one down with you. And we're going to start off with cash games like we always do. This part's not fun. Like cash games tomorrow is not going to be fun because of the pitching selection we have. But go ahead and tell the nation what your thoughts are on cash game SP1 and SP2 for Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really straightforward. I think you want Jose Barrios, even though he's on the road, but it's against the White Sox, like one of the more optimal opponents to target with righties. And as your SP2, I think like Adam Plutko at 6'7", that's 17-3 between the two, right in the sweet spot, is like the only move that I see that makes sense at this point for cash games.
And that's why playing cash games is not going to be fun because, I mean, it's true. Even if you were like, I'm going to do a double spend up, like Giolito's been good, but do you want to play him at home in Chicago against the fucking Twins who are just tearing the cover off the ball right now? Do you want to play Tanaka on the road in Boston against the Red Sox? Like, there's no options. It's at a point where I feel like some people may even actually look at Jose Suarez against Baltimore. Like, I think people will look at him, Plutko, and maybe even LeBlanc, who's not even the actual starter, or on the assumption that he's going to be a probable long reliever. So that should tell you everything you need to know about cash games tomorrow. It's I don't envy Juan Bon, who's writing the cash game article tomorrow. I don't envy that because having to recommend some of these dudes in a cash game is gonna hurt. It's gonna feel dirty in a bad way.
And the edge is going to be so thin.
Oh yeah,
so thin tomorrow.
Oh yeah. On the flip side, for tournaments, it does kind of, I think it's fairly open. Like, there are actually a lot of different ways you can go, a lot of people you can consider, maybe even some leverage. I do think Barrios is going to be the highest owned pitcher on the slate by a pretty good mile. So that'll probably be the first decision that we have to make tomorrow. Overweight, underweight, fade, all in. I think that's going to be, like, decision number one. Because just looking at this off gate, especially after what Gallen did to the White Sox today, like, Barrios' ownership is going to be ridiculously high. I know it's the first look, it's the night before, so we're going to have to dig into this tomorrow and kind of see what we think then. But what are your thoughts for tournaments with Barrios as of now?
My thoughts are I probably won't be able to afford him with the bets that I'm going to want, and I'll probably be looking for a double spend down situation and just, hope that he does what he normally does on the road and not, put up a slate breaking score, and that I'll be able to get an edge on the field by, fading a 40 or 50% on pitcher and just double spending down and like loading up on bets that I like.
I think it makes a lot of sense. It's interesting because the thing whenever there's like not a lot of good pitchers that you like, that usually means there's a lot of offenses you like. And I think we're going to see, like, aside from the things that stand out now, I think tomorrow we're probably going to come around on some of these offenses. So I'm curious to see where it takes us. Because, like, there's teams like Seattle, for instance, who are fairly cheap, and it's going to be kind of easy to play Barrios with that. So, like, at some point, we're going to come face-to-face with the decision of whether we want him or not. And I think that going through the bats is going to be the first outlier. In the meantime, what pitchers outside of Barrios are you considering for tournaments?
Jose Suarez against Baltimore, although they seem pretty hot, but the guy can get some Ks. Baltimore's offense is mostly right-handed. You really want lefties in that park. He should be in line for the win, 8-2. I can deal with that. Brett Anderson, I really have almost zero respect for, but like the Rangers are just very bad against lefties. It's in a big park. Joey Gallo he's not on the DL, but like I think he's missed his last 2 or 3 games. Like if he's out of the lineup, that's a big boost. So I'd consider him. I hate Adam Plutko, but I'm just kind of forced into it. And then the pitcher for Seattle is the last guy that I'm kind of considering. Like I'm just looking at the slate, and I like pretty much know the bats that I want, and they're all expensive. So it's just as cheap as I can get. What's the Seattle pitcher's name?
LeBlanc.
LeBlanc, yeah, I kept thinking LeClaire. LeBlanc, 5'8", with Plutko, with Anderson at 7'9", or Suarez at 8'2" is probably where right now, before like really digging into this, is where I'm looking.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a wild slate tomorrow, that's for sure. I hear you, man. And again, like this kind of solidifies the ownership on Berrios. So again, that's going to be the main decision that everybody's going to have to make. Going down the list, LeBlanc is probably my favorite cheap guy in tournaments, and that's only because like I feel like all these guys are very capable of getting you like a 10, and I think he's just as good of a chance to get you a 10. So it's like, against the Tigers in Seattle, a good park. So I hear you, man. Like the guys that I'm considering right now, or I'm thinking about for tournaments, it's ugly. But again, it's just to further the case for Berrios' ownership. He's going to be ridiculously popular tomorrow.